So the ridge is going to, first of all, it reveals your true character, who you really are, what you're really like on the inside, how you deal with the adversities of your life. The second thing the ridge reveals is it reveals true humbleness, real humbleness, not fake humbleness, but real humbleness. And in Luke chapter 17, beginning with verse 11, we see this very story. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. And as he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. This area was just covered with people who had leprosy. And they stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And when he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." And they went and they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice, and he threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus asked, "Weren't all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go, your faith has made you well." Let me ask you something. Based on the mountains, the ridges, the consequences, the battles, the issues that you have to face in your life, how thankful are you for what God has done in your life? How really, truly thankful are you for what God has done in your life? Do you have an attitude that just simply says, "Hey, you know what? That's what God is supposed to do," or "I deserve a break," almost an entitlement attitude? Or do you have the attitude that is grateful that God has shown his mercy and his grace and his blessing on your life? There's a big, big difference. And that those issues that we deal with in our life, those conflicts that we deal with in our life, reveal that part of our life, how thankful we really are. When you're in the difficulties of life, when you're facing the ridges of your life, you begin to see what you really are on the inside. How thankful are you to God for what he's done? In spite of what's going on in your life, in spite of the ridges, in spite of the conflicts in your life, how thankful are you really for what God's done? We're taught in Thessalonians to give thanks for everything, for this is the will of God. And the idea, the principle behind that is that if you can thank God even for the difficult times, you've got the right focus. You've got the right attitude. Your heart's in the right place. Understanding that I may not like the circumstances, but I can be thankful that God is in control, that I can come to him, that I can depend on him, I can trust him, I can wait on the Lord. So thankfulness, or humbleness, as is kind of used neutrally here, is the idea that God is in control, and when you face those conflicts in your life, that really becomes evident in your life, that you are trusting him and thankful that he can bring you through those conflicts. There is something that the Bible teaches that's very important for us to understand. When we're facing those conflicts, if we have this attitude like, wow, this is not fair, this is not right, I don't deserve this, this is God, what are you doing? It's almost a thing of arrogance. God, I know this is not right, this is not fair. God, you should do better than this. God, you owe me. We may not say it that way, but our attitude implies that. That's arrogance. That's arrogance. A lack of thankfulness, a lack of humbleness is just nothing but arrogance. And I want you to see something about God's nature. God hates arrogance. In fact, there's a list in Proverbs 6, of 6 things that God hates. And there are actually 7. The 7th is really detestable. He hates all of them. But the very first thing that's mentioned is arrogance. Proverbs 6, starting with verse 16. There are 6 things the Lord hates. 7 that are detestable to him. Haughty eyes, that's arrogance. An attitude of arrogance. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up dissension among brothers. By the way, the 7th thing is the man who stirs up dissension among his brothers. That's what God hates. And the very first thing that's mentioned is arrogance. Listen, God hates unthankfulness. He hates arrogance. He hates a lack of humility. But he blesses humbleness. 1 Peter 5:6 says it this way, humble yourselves therefore under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up. God says, if you will discover that you can trust me, you can depend on me, and be grateful for that, recognize that I am your source and your resource, and that becomes real in your life, God says he will lift you up. He will bless you. God loves humbleness.